When John Vianney first arrived in the little French village of Ars in 1818, he found a place where faith had grown cold. Most people worked hard but neglected God, and the taverns were filled late into the night. Only a few came to Mass. John was poor in health, shy, and not considered very intelligent. He had barely been ordained after struggling with his studies. But he had one great gift, an undivided love for God and for souls. He began with prayer and penance. He would spend nights in the church, praying before the tabernacle, whispering, "My God, convert my parish! I am willing to suffer whatever you wish, as long as my people are saved." He ate little, slept little, and offered all his sacrifices for the people of Ars. Soon, little changes began to happen. A few children noticed the priest's kindness and gathered around him for catechism. A farmer, moved by his preaching, came back to confession after many years. Then a family closed their tavern on Sundays. Slowly, the faith began to stir again. John's sermons were simple. He spoke of God's love, the horror of sin, and the beauty of heaven. He often wept in the pulpit, and his tears touched hearts more than eloquence ever could. But not everyone was pleased. The devil, enraged at losing souls, began to attack John Vianney directly. At night, strange noises filled the rectory: footsteps, furniture thrown about, voices calling his name. Sometimes his bed would shake violently or even catch fire. John remained calm. "It is just the Grappen, the claw," he said, using his nickname for the devil. "He can frighten me, but he cannot hurt me." The more the devil attacked, the more John prayed and fasted. He knew these torments were the enemy's desperate attempt to stop him, which meant God was winning souls through his work. Then came the great flood of penitence. Word spread that in Ars there was a holy priest who could read hearts and reconcile even the most hardened sinners to God. People began to arrive by cart and by foot, traveling days and nights to reach him. Soon, the line for confession stretched endlessly. John sometimes spent 16 to 18 hours a day in the confessional, listening, weeping, and absolving. He once told a penitent, "I will weep for your sins, so you don't have to weep forever in hell." Stories abound. A woman burdened with guilt for decades found peace after a few words from him. A hardened man who mocked religion broke down in tears as Vianney gently told him what only God could have revealed about his life. Even skeptics, drawn out of curiosity, left transformed. By the end of his life, more than 20,000 pilgrims a year were coming to Ars, a village of only 230 people. Despite the fame, John remained humble. He often tried to run away, thinking himself unworthy, but the people begged him to stay. His whole life was prayer, sacrifice, and love for souls. He died on August 4, 1859, worn out from a life of penance and service. At his funeral, thousands flooded Ars, mourning the little priest who had saved so many souls. Today, his body lies incorrupt in Ars, and he is the patron saint of parish priests. Saint John Vianney shows us that holiness does not require brilliance, wealth, or power, only love of God, perseverance in prayer, and willingness to sacrifice for others. Even one poor priest in a forgotten village can shake the world, if he belongs entirely to God.